All right, Shalom. We're the brothers of Great Millstone, a branch out of Des Moines. First and foremost, we'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachakwadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace, blessings, and salutations to all you brothers preaching the gospel in truth and sincerity, always in charity. As you can see, the title of the lesson is entitled Spirit Like the Wind. Spirit Like the Wind, boy. It's entitled The New Moon Sabbath, which, we should all very well be aware that, the new moon is tonight. The Sabbath will be coming in tonight. So, the Spirit on us just to go into it and, explain how, we kept or how we keep track of the Sabbath in the ancient world, and how we do it today. It's according to the ancient world. Can you start in the book of Exodus 12, Baba Kashaf?
This is this is Exodus chapter 12 and verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
It says, "And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you."
Mm-hmm. So it says what? That shall be the beginning of the month.
Mm-hmm.
That shall be the first month of the year unto us, man. Now, when we go to Leviticus, can you do that? Go to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. When we go into Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, right? It lets us know, the day that we keep the Sabbath on, the Passover. I'm sorry, lets us know the day that we ought to keep the Passover, right? And then let us know, because it's not according to Saturdays. You're not going to find in the scriptures Saturday, Tuesday, Friday. You're not going to find that within the Bible. So when these people say that the Sabbath is from Friday night to Saturday night, they can't substantiate that, or they can't prove that according to the Holy Scriptures, right? Because our forefathers didn't follow the days of the week as in Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, which those are named after idols anyway. When you go into our history, it was numbered the first month, just like we just read in Exodus 12.
Mm-hmm.
And then it says what? The 15th day of the first month is when we would celebrate our Passover. So now it's like, okay, so these are the days of how we calculate. So where do we discern the first day? You know what I'm saying? I hope I make sense of what I'm saying, right? So grab Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. Start at 5. I'm sorry. Start at 5. Start at 4.
This is
matter of fact, you're right. You can start at the top, brother.
This is Leviticus 23 and verse 1. It says, "And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, concerning the feast of the Lord, which ye shall proclaim to be the holy convocations, even these are my feasts.
Mm-hmm.
6 days shall be work." It says 6 days shall work be done, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of rest.
Now, how do we determine what's the seventh day? Because it's not Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, right? That's not written within the scriptures.
Mm-hmm.
So how did our forefathers discern, or how did they calculate what was the seventh day? But we're going to get into that. Go ahead.
It says, in holy convocation, ye shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings. These are the feasts of the Lord, even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons. And the 14th day of the first month at even is the Lord's Passover.
Right, the 14th day at even. Now, when we go to Genesis, it lets us know. This is the book of Genesis 1 and 13. I just grab a random one because it says multiple times, right? Genesis 1 and 13, it says, "In the evening and the morning were the third day." So we understand that the day starts at even. So when the sun is setting, that's the end of that day and the starting of the next day, right? So it says on the 14th day at even, which is the start of the 15th day, is when we hold our Passover. Go ahead, brother.
Yep. Verse 6 again, it says, "And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread."
You see? In the 14th day at even, the next verse lets us know it's the start of the 15th day. Go ahead.
It says, "And on the 15th day of the same month is the feast of the unleavened bread unto the Lord. 7 days ye must eat unleavened bread.
Right. So now I got that just to show that our days were numbered. Our months were numbered. Our days were numbered. So where or how do we start the count in order to number 6 working days, and then the 7th day is our Sabbath? Can you jump to 1 Samuel 20, verse 5? 1 Samuel 20 and 5, Bible shot.
Yep. This is 1 Samuel chapter 20 and verse 5. It says, and David said unto and David said unto Jonathan, behold, tomorrow is the new moon, and I shall not fail to sit with the king at meat, but let me go that I may hide myself in the field until the 3rd day at even.
Right. So now you got to go into it and read it when you get the backdrop of the story, how David and Jonathan came together. David was telling Jonathan, look, your dad trying to kill me. You know, he out to get me, and out the bam. So you could read that, you know, to catch up on that part of the history. But let's jump down to verse 24.
Yep. Verse 24, it says, so David hid himself in the field, and when the new moon was come, the king sat him down to eat meat.
Right. So it says what? In the 5th verse, it says tomorrow is the new moon. So now we're reading the 24th verse, and it says what? Now when the new moon was come, so the next day came. So the new moon came, which once again, tonight is the new moon, right? Go ahead.
It says, verse 25, it says, and the king sat upon his seat. It says, and the king sat upon his seat as at the other times, even upon a seat by the wall. And Jonathan arose, and Abner sat by Paul's side.
Saul.
Oh, yeah, like it. It says, and Abner sat by Saul's side, and David's place was empty. Nevertheless, Saul spake not anything that day, for he thought something had befallen him. He is not clean. Surely he is not clean. And it came to pass on the morrow.
On the morrow, so the next day after the new moon, right? Go ahead.
Which was the 2nd day.
What day was that?
Which was the 2nd day of the month.
Boom. So right here, it lets us know that the new moon institutes the 1st day of the month. Right? Go ahead.
It says, and it came to pass on the morrow, which was the 2nd day of the month, that David's place was empty. And Saul said unto Jonathan his son, wherefore cometh not the son of Jesse to meet, neither yesterday nor today.
Boom, right there. Now that's all we need right there, man. Showing you that what? Here it is. This is an example of our forefathers keeping track of the days. The new moon is the start of the new month. Can you jump to Sirach, the 43rd chapter?
Yep. This Sirach 43 and verse 7 or verse 6, it says, he made the moon also to serve in her season.
Exactly, which tells us that in the book of Genesis, the 1st chapter. Let's go back to Genesis 1. This is Genesis 1 and verse 4. Matter of fact, I'll read 13 again. In the evening and the morning were the 3rd day. And Elohim said, let there be lights in the firmament of heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years, man. So the heavenly bodies is our calendar. You see? So go back and read that Sirach again.
Yep, the Sirach 43 and verse 6 again. It says, he made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of times.
For a declaration of times. So the moon lets us know the time, right? The waning and the waxing. When the new moon comes in, we know that's the start of the month. And as it increases, that's what bi-weekly, you know? And when you go into that word week, it goes into alter. The word week literally means to alter. What's being altered? The moon, right? Because after the first set of 7 days, what happens? It's split, it's half. Then on the 14th day at even, what is it? It's a full moon, which lets us know we're halfway through that month. And it's perfect because going back to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, all those high holy days that we celebrate is in accordance with the moon. Real quick, I'm going to jump back to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, because we just recently, right? Because tonight institutes the start of the 8th month, according to our, our Hebrew calendar, which once again is the heavenly bodies. But this past month, we celebrated 2 high holy days. It was the Day of Atonement,
Yep.
and it was the Feast of Tabernacles, right? Now, when we read this, no, I think it was 3.
Yeah,
the Day of Atonement, Memorial blowing of trumpets, and the Feast of Tabernacles. I'm sorry. Now, when you read this in the book of Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, I'm gonna start at the 23rd verse. It says, "And Yahweh Ba'Sham Yahushai spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, In the 7th month, in the first day of the month." Now we know the first day institutes what? It's the new moon, right? "In the first day of the month, ye shall have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets and holy convocation." And that's beautiful how the Lord set that up. Once again, going back to our high holy days, because the new moon in itself is a Sabbath day. Just real quick, since the Spirit had me say that, just simply type into the search engine on a Bible app, or on the Blue Letter Bible, whatever app or internet you're using, or application that you use to search the scriptures. Now, the first one that pops up is 2 Kings 4:23, and he said, "Wherefore wilt thou go to him today? It is neither new moon nor Sabbath." And she said, "It shall be well." Now, you're gonna, as we further read these different verses with the new moons and Sabbaths, you'll see how they coincide and how they tie in one with another. 1 Chronicles 23:31, "And to offer all burnt sacrifices unto the Lord in the Sabbaths, in the new moons, and on the set feasts, by number, according to the order commanded unto them continually before the Lord." So these are all these different precepts there's correlating the new moon with the Sabbaths, right? So now, when we what is that? Is that Nehemiah? It's one specifically that I'm looking for. This is the book of because it says, "When will the new moon be gone?" Yep, Amos. I'm sorry. This is the book of Amos 8:5. Matter of fact, I'm gonna start at 4. It says, "Hear this, O ye that swallow up the needy, even to make the poor of the land to fail, saying," so this is what the wicked of our people would say, "When will the new moon be gone, that we may sell corn?" Now, when we go back into the law, what law says that we cannot buy or sell on the new moon? There's no law that says that. Right. So this lets us know that the new moon is, in fact, a Sabbath day, because they wouldn't be saying this if it wasn't. Saying, "When will the new moon be gone, that we may sell corn, and the Sabbath, that we may set forth wheat, making the ephah small and the shekel great, and falsifying the balances by deceit." The point being is that what? We're tying in the new moon with the Sabbath. The new moon is a Sabbath. You see? So the new moon, which institutes the first day of the month, is a day of rest, is a Sabbath. So the next day, the second day of the month, is when we start our count. That's the second day of the month. The second day of the lunar calendar would be the first day we would work. First working day, right? So when we count those 6 days and we get to the 7th day, according to the lunar calendar, we would be on the 8th lunar calendar day. So when you count those days, the first day is the Sabbath, the 8th day is the Sabbath, then what? The 15th day is the Sabbath, which is what? On the first day of the month is when we would have our Passover. So every year, the Passover is supposed to fall on a Sabbath. Every year. But when you go into these other camps, they have their Passover celebration on a Thursday night. But yet they teach and say that the Sabbath is every Friday night to Saturday night. Then the next year, they have their Passover celebration Tuesday night. How can that be? You see, it doesn't line up. Right? So the next Sabbath day would be on the 15th. The next Sabbath day after that would be on the 22nd. And then the next Sabbath after that would be on the 29th. Right? And there's 29 and a half days in a moon cycle. So that's why, depending on when the moon rises, sometimes we have it back to back or a day in between. And that's biblical within itself. Let's grab that real quick. I think that one is Nehemiah, right? Yeah, it says twice, once or twice. This is the book of Nehemiah 13. And I started 17. Then I contended with the nobles of Judah and said unto them, what evil thing is this that ye do and profane the Sabbath day? Right? Which that's a big no-no in the sight of Yahweh Basham Yahushai. And in Isaiah the 58th chapter, he tells us to turn our foot from the Sabbath and not to do our own pleasure on the Sabbath, man. And that includes not making yourself unclean. So you got all these other camps that teaches you that you can pop your woman on the Sabbath day. Sex makes you unclean. Once a man's I'm trying to keep it clean, right? But once your bodily fluid leaves yourself, once you ejaculates, you become unclean according to the scriptures. It's called a seed of copulation in the Holy Scriptures, man. And it says once the seed of copulation leaves a man, he becomes unclean, which he has to wash himself and be unclean until the next day. And when you go into profane, one of the words of profane is to make thyself unclean. So we ought not to make ourselves unclean on the Lord's Sabbath day. That's just a side note, man, right? Because a nigga will say, well, I can't, I enjoy eating ice cream. So I can't eat that eating ice cream don't make you unclean, my nigga. You see how these dudes want to twist and turn and you know? But anyway, I'll read this again. Nehemiah 13 and 18, did not your fathers thus, and did not our power bring all this evil upon us and upon this city? Yet ye bring more wrath upon Israel by profaning the Sabbath. And it came to pass that when the gates of Jerusalem began to be dark before the Sabbath, showing you that it starts at even, right? I commanded that the gates should be shut and charged that they should not be opened till after the Sabbath. And some of my servants set I at the gates, that there should be no burden be brought in on the Sabbath day. This is the point, verse 20. So the merchants and sellers of all kind of ware lodged without Jerusalem once or twice. You see? Because sometimes it's back to back, depending on when the moon rises, and sometimes there's a day in between, 29 and a half days in the moon cycle. You see how the Lord made it? It's perfect, man. It's perfect. It's beautiful. And Thawadi Yahweh Basham Yahushai for returning this back unto us, man. You know, but I'm
gonna finish in that.
But it's a couple more that I wanted to get, just tying in the new moon with the Sabbath, because there's plenty more precepts. Isaiah 66 and 23. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship me, saith Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai. Once again, showing you the correlation between the Sabbath and the new moon. This is Ezekiel 46 and 1. Thus saith Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai, the gate of the inner court that looketh toward the east shall be shut the 6 working days. But on the Sabbath it shall be open, and in the day of the new moon it shall be opened. Showing you that the new moon is a Sabbath day, man. Yeah, that's enough. That's enough. We go back to Sirach 43.
Back in Sirach 43, in verse 7, it says, from the moon is a sign of feast. It says a light that decreaseth in her perfection. And that even just shows you that it decreases, showing the different changes of the moon.
Yep, it says it's the sign of feast. So going back to Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, we know when to keep our Passover, the Day of Atonement, the memorial blowing of trumpets, the Feast of Tabernacles, Pentecost, all those different things according to the moon. Because going back to Leviticus 23 says, these are my feasts. Yep. And even the Sabbath. We know how to keep the Sabbath according to the moon. Right? That's why it says, what's that in Psalms 81? It says, blow up the trumpet.
Yep. That's another one in Psalms too.
Blow trumpet. This is the book of Psalms 81. And verse 3. It says, blow up the trumpet in the new moon in the time appointed on our solemn feast day. Now, when you go into the Hebrew for this time appointed, it goes into the Hebrew word chasah, which means full moon. So in the time appointed is the full moon on our solemn feast day, which is going into the Passover, right? So blow up the trumpet in the new moon, right? And in the appointed feast day, which is the Passover, which the Passover is a full moon on the Passover because it's the 15th day. Going into the moon cycle once again. You see? You got it back, bro.
Yeah, I just had another one just to hop in real quick. This is this is Psalms 104 and verse 19. It says, he appointed the moon for seasons, the sun knoweth his going down. So just another precept showing you that the moon, we look at the moon for different seasons and times, man, as it says in that Genesis that we read.
Yep. But just like the sun.
Yeah.
You know, when the sun is at its highest point, you know it's noon. It's in the middle of the day. That's why in the ancient world they had the sundial. And they would tell the time it was according to the shadow that was cast. So, you know?
Even with the sun, you know, you could tell when it's summer or when it's winter, because you'll have the different times of the day it shortens, or the times of the day expands. You know, like during the summer the days are longer, and then during the winter, you know, the days are shorter. You know, just another side note. But going back to Sirach 43 and verse 7 again, it says, from the moon is the sign of feast, a light that decreaseth.
You also know it because nigga how I feel outside.
Yeah. Yeah, that too.
You know, sun shining in the middle, nigga, and it's 3 degrees, nigga.
It says verse 8, it says the month is called after her name. Increasing.
Now just read 7 again, Salaki.
Yep. Verse 7, it says, from the moon is the sign of feast, a light that decreaseth in her perfection.
So when the light is full, that's the 15th day when it's the full moon, and then it starts to decrease. It starts to wane.
Yep.
So we know that the moon is in its perfection when it's full.
Yep.
And that's in the middle of the month. And then it starts to what Esau calls wane. Yep. Waxing is increasing, waning is decreasing, man. You know, but go ahead.
It says the month is called after her name.
Boom. The month is called after her name. Yep.
That's a spirit. Because I had got the definition of the word month. And one of the definitions, when you jump down, it says originally the month was the interval between one new moon and the next. All right, so that just shows you once you look up the word month, or even when you look up the word moon, you can see that they're both synonymous. All right, what shows you that when there's a new moon, it's a beginning of a new month. But it says the month is called after her name, increasing wonderfully in her changing.
And increasing wonderfully in her changing. So it's letting you know that the month is called after her name. So the beginning of the month is the new moon, and it increases. Because the new moon is what? When it's dark.
Yep.
You know, but go ahead.
Yep. It says increasing wonderfully in her changing.
In her changing, and she changed throughout the week. And let me just prove that, because I made a statement earlier in the lesson that that the word week meant something. So I'm gonna just go into the etymon online and type in week, and it says from Old High German, from German, probably originally descents of a turning or secession. It says in the course of, right? So it literally means meaning primarily change, alteration. So that's what the word week literally means. It means change or alteration. What is changing? What is altering? It's the moon. Once again, you know, and even when you go, because the brother looked it up on the etymon, even when you look it up in the etymon online, it says when you look up the word month, once again, it says Old German, Old Norse. It says it's just related to Memnon, which means moon. So the word month literally comes from the word moon. Going back into what the scripture says, the month is called after her name. So a new month means there is a new moon. Go ahead, you read that again.
Yep, verse 8 again. It says the month is called after her name, increasing wonderfully in her changing, being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament of heaven.
Shining in the firmament of heaven. So this is how we, calculate when the Sabbaths come in, just like how our ancient forefathers did so, man. So tonight the new moon will set in, which is a Sabbath, and we ought to refrain, from our pledge. Let's get that in Isaiah 58 chapter.
Yeah.
And also, I want to read this also, just real quick, because Paul did say this, and you'll have a nigga jump up and say, but Paul said. Now, when you read this in the book of Colossians 2:16, it says, let no man therefore judge you in meat or in drink or in respect of an holy day or of the new moon or of the Sabbath days, which are a shadow of things to come, but the body is of Yahweh Shai. So what he was writing unto the people of Colossus, and he was letting them know, look, you're just now coming back into our heritage. You're just now coming back and then learning, the customs and the laws and statutes. Just like the topic concerning circumcision. Right? Don't let nobody just force you to. No, man. You have to what? You have to gradually come into those things. So you might have an individual who comes into faith and he might thinks or believes that the Sabbath is from Friday night to Saturday night. And according to his belief, the Lord is going to hold him accountable to that, man. Yeah. But as he grow in the faith and as his understanding grows, he's supposed to come into the knowledge like, hold on, no, this precept says this precept says that. And then he comes to start keep it the proper way that you're supposed to keep it. You see? That is what Paul was saying in Colossians, that we just read. You see, you know better, you do better. Simple as that, right? But Isaiah the 58th chapter.
This is Isaiah 58 and verse 13. It says,
Well, you couldn't find it in your book?
Well, no, I was looking up the definition of pleasure real quick, but verse 13 it says, "If thou turn away thy foot from the Sabbath, from doing thy pleasure on my holy day, and call the Sabbath a delight."
Now, certain things, is pleasurable to certain brothers. That's why Sirach says, "Prove thyself, and give it not over unto it." Like brothers here, when the Sabbath days come, I don't play the Xbox or PlayStation. I don't play the games. So that's something I withhold or I would refrain myself from. I watch football. It's football season. Actually, tonight it's going to be Thursday night football. If it was a regular night, I would be watching football. But since the new moon comes in tonight, guess what I'm not going to be doing? You see? So each man has to, examine himself and know, like, nah, this is not what I'm going to do on the Lord's Sabbath day. You see, the next man, he might can play the game, right, or he might can watch boxing, or he might can watch football. That's between him and that's him and the Lord, man. But I just know for me, in my faith, right? Now it comes down to what's universal, meaning it's all one and the same to us. None of us should be releasing our seed on the Sabbath day, man. Once again, because we are not supposed to become unclean on the Lord's Sabbath day. That's the way we keep it holy. It tells us in Sirach, the 33rd chapter, if I could jump there real quick. This is Sirach 33 and 7. It says, why doeth one day excel another, when as all the light of every day in the year is of the sun? By the knowledge of the Lord they were distinguished, and we're reading how they distinguished. Right? It says, and he altered seasons and feasts. Some of them hath he made high days and hallowed them, like tonight. And some of them hath he made ordinary days, man. So on an ordinary day, you can do your pleasure, man. You can deal with your woman, right? But on the Lord's Sabbath day, you refrain from that because it's a high holy day. And once again, it tells you not to profane the Sabbath day, right? Grab that real quick. This is the book of It's a couple of them, but I want one in particular.
Exodus.
Yeah, you got it?
Yeah, Exodus 30. This is Exodus 31:14. It says, "Ye shall keep the Sabbath day, therefore, for it is holy unto you. Everyone that defileth it shall surely be put to death."
Well, I had the one in 20 where it says you shall keep it holy,
Okay,
which the holy is sanctified, but that's Exodus 31 and what verse?
14.
14, right? You can read it again.
Yep. Exodus 31:14. It says, "Ye shall keep the Sabbath, therefore, for it is holy unto you. Everyone that defileth it shall surely be put to death. For whosoever doeth any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from among his people."
Right. Now we know under Esau's captivity, right? There are certain days we have to work. That's where the grace of Yahweh Shah comes in at. But that is not applied
Right.
on popping your woman. Let's say it says everyone that defileth. Now, when you go into that word defile, is the Hebrew word halal. Halal, right? And it says to profane, defile, pollute. It says to profane oneself, defile oneself, pollute oneself. It says what? Ritually or sexually. And this is all within the definition, right? Now, what happens when you pop your woman? Let's get this in the book of Leviticus. This is Leviticus. What's going on? This is Leviticus 15 and 16. And if any man's seed of copulation go out from him, then he shall wash all his flesh in water and be unclean until the even. Now, when you go into that word unclean, it's the Hebrew word tama'ah. And it says to become unclean, become impure, sexually. Another definition, it says to defile oneself. You see? So if the Lord said, don't defile his holy day, and then having sex defiles yourself, how can you, technically there is no law that says, yes, it is. You see? Refrain from thy pleasure. And what's the most enjoyable, pleasurable thing a man can do? You see? Because it defiles you, and you are not to defile, you are not to profane yourself on the Lord's holy day, because that's profaning the Lord's Sabbath. You go back to Isaiah 58, bro.
Yep. Back in Isaiah 58 and verse 13 again, it says, "If thou turn away thy foot from the Sabbath, from doing thy pleasure on my holy day, and call the Sabbath a delight."
Call the Sabbath a delight. We're supposed to be looking forward to when the Sabbath days come in, man. Those wicked niggas in Amos, when the Sabbath gonna be gone, when the new moon gonna pass. We supposed to look forward to that day of rest in the kingdom of heaven. See, in Esau's, he not honoring the Sabbath, which is why if brothers work for themselves, what did the Lord do when we was in the wilderness? The day before the Sabbath, he gave us a double portion, man. So if brothers work for themselves, it's like, no, let me put in extra hours on this day so I can take this day off, man. Shit happens. Certain brothers might need to make money, so certain situations might require that. But it's like it's mind-boggling for a brother who makes his own schedule to work on a Sabbath. It's like, bro, like what's going on? Unless it's an emergency, unless it's it's needful, you might be in a jam or something, right? But ultimately, the grace of our Lord Yahweh Shah covers that once again. But it's like, nah, if you make your own schedule, you should definitely have that window open, But go ahead.
It says, "If thou turn away thy foot from the Sabbath, from doing thy pleasure on my holy day, and call the Sabbath a delight, the holy of the Lord, honorable," it says, "and shall honor him, not doing thy own ways, nor finding thine own pleasure."
You see, not doing our own ways, finding our own pleasure. Then one might say, well, like, if I got to go to work, how can I keep the Lord's Sabbath day holy? You keep it in the spirit. You got to go to work and do what you got to do, but you can come home and still honor the Sabbath day. Keep in mind, we in captivity, so we got to do what the fuck we got to do. But don't make it difficult, man. So it's easier for Friday night to Saturday night because everybody off on Saturday. So there's individuals that understand exactly what we're saying, and they get it. Like, oh yeah, that's true. But it's easier for me Friday to Saturday. It's like, you know better, do better, man.
Yeah.
You know, I want to keep it to it says, what it says, stand ye in the old paths, seek the old way, we're in the good way, and walk therein. You know, I want to walk in the ways our ancient forefathers walked, and the Lord had pleasure in those men. So shit, I hope he had pleasure in me. So I'm gonna do it the same way he instructed us to do it from the start. But go ahead.
Yep, it says, and shalt honor him, not doing thine own ways, nor finding thine own pleasure, nor speaking thine own words.
Mm-hmm.
It says, then shalt thou delight thyself in the Lord, and I will cause thee to ride upon the high places of the earth.
Come on, man. You hear the reward the Lord is telling us. Go ahead.
It says, and feed thee with the heritage of Jacob thy father, for the mouth of the Lord hath spoken you.
Yep. There's another precept, man. In I want to say I know it's in the book of Jeremiah. Yep. This is the book of Jeremiah 17, and I'm gonna start at 20. I'm gonna start at 19. This is the book of Jeremiah 17 and 19. Thus saith Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushua unto me, go and stand in the gate of the children of the people, whereby the kings of Judah come in, and by the which they go out, and in all the gates of Jerusalem, and say unto them, hear ye the word of Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushua, ye kings of Judah, and all the inhabitants of Jerusalem that enter in by these gates. Thus saith the Lord, take heed to yourselves, and bear no burden on the Sabbath day, nor bring it in by the gates of Jerusalem. Neither carry forth a burden out of your houses on the Sabbath day, neither do ye any work, but hallow ye the Sabbath day as I commanded your fathers. But they obeyed not, neither inclined their ear, but made their neck stiff, that they might not hear nor receive instruction. And it shall come to pass, if ye diligently hearken unto me, saith Yahweh, to bring in no burden through the gates of this city on the Sabbath day, but hallow the Sabbath day, to do no work therein, then shall there enter into the gates of this city kings and princes, sitting upon a throne of David, riding in chariots and on horses, they and their princes, the men of Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and this city shall remain forever. And they shall come from the cities of Judah and from the places about Jerusalem and from the land of Benjamin and from the plain and from the mountains and from the south, bringing burnt offerings and sacrifices and meat offerings and incense, and bringing sacrifices of praise unto the house of Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai. But if you will not hearken unto me to hallow the Sabbath day, and not to bear a burden, even entering in the gates of Jerusalem on the Sabbath day, then will I kindle a fire in the gates thereof, and it shall devour the palaces of Jerusalem, and it shall not be quenched. So the Lord, like, if only you kept the Sabbath day, man. You know, showing you how important the Sabbath day is to the Lord. You see, and this is when we was underneath ourselves. We was sovereign.
Yeah.
So we could have instituted keeping the Sabbath. In today's time, we can't do that. You know, for those of us who have to clock in for Esau, we can't take a Thursday every week, and then the next month we take a Tuesday. You know what I'm saying? You know, Esau will be like, bro, what the fuck going on with you?
Losing your job.
You know, but if you work for yourself, man, you know, you already fully aware of when the Sabbath comes in. So make a day to where you do extra on that day so that you can make up for the day that you're gonna rest, man.
Yeah.
You know, in order to honor, you know, the high holy days, man, to keep our heritage, man, that Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai blessed us to return unto. You know, so that's all I, you know. So the water Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai, you know, just in our spirit, man, to, you know, pretty much go into that, seeing that the new moon is coming in tonight, you know. Something very important in the sight of Yahweh Ba'asham Yahushai, and according to Ezekiel 46, it says what back in the ancient world, the temple, you know, the gates, you know, facing east would be open, man, on the new moons and on the Sabbaths, man. You know, what did our Lord say, man? He said, on earth as it is in heaven. You know, so that's like, you know, the church and, you know, the temple in the heavens, man. that gate is open, man. So, that's something powerful, man, that we able to, hold the Sabbath day, man, and honor it on the days that it actually is. So once again, Tawadi Yahweh Basham Yahushai, for that, man. And Lord will, we hope this was edifying, so we're going to give all praises, honor, glory to Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai Bahasham Rachakwadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Peace, blessings, and salutations to all you brothers preaching the gospel in truth and sincerity, always in charity. And I hope you brothers have a beautiful Sabbath, man, when the sun go down. Shalom.
Shalom.